How's it going? It's time to talk about another weird horror film. So today I'm going to be talking about Dead Man Walk, which was released February 10th, 1943, starring George Zucco, Dwight Fry, and Mary Carlsley. Produced by Sigmund Newfield and written by Fred Martin and directed by someone I've talked about some of those guys' films before, Sam Newfield. He's the director of The Drifter, Trigger Fingers, Billy the Kid Wanted, Federal Agent, and of course, the ever so boring Western, The Terror of Tiny Town, that I actually have a review for on this channel, so you can find that too if you're interested. This guy's more known for his westerns, and I think she should have said no as well. But yeah, he is known for the westerns. So it was pretty interesting to see that he actually did like a dramatic thriller. Yeah, so Dead Man Walk, basically you follow Dr. Lloyd Clayton, who is attending his twin brother's funeral. Now you slowly learn the fact that he killed his twin brother in a rage, and because his brother was a diabolical sorcerer, and he was causing mischief, and so he ends up murdering him in self-defense, basically, and then but his brother does not want to stay uh, dead. He comes back as a ruthless vampire, and feeds on the doctor's. I think it's his niece who's slowly draining life, draining of blood. And the doctor has no idea what's going on, even though he basically blatantly says it 20 minutes into the film. But yeah, um, this film is interesting, and it does have some interesting aspects to it. Um, yeah, it's very hard to tell the difference between the twin brothers because it's played by the same actor, just shot differently. The only way to tell the difference is which one's wearing glasses and stuff. And also, they sometimes the continuity doesn't go too well because sometimes it'll be the new guy and he'll put glasses on, so it gets a little confusing that way. But yeah, it's a fun little hour-long film of just sheer mystery with a sense of dark, evil feelings over it. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how they tried to take this interesting concept and make it into something that's a little more generic almost of the time, but it's very bland and boring and totally screws everything up. The continuity is terrible in this. It doesn't really flow well. Uh, yeah, but the horror aspect of it does have dark moments. It does have sort of like elements from like Dracula and stuff like that with the vampire aspects and stuff. But overall, and sort of like almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde sort of feel to it too, which was actually good. And the climax scene was actually pretty amusing to watch. I actually really liked the last like 20 minutes of this film. It was pretty amusing. It opens randomly with some guy talking about the explaining the backstory and stuff, but it was like a face over a fire, sort of like when you see, sort of like the opening of House on Haunted Hill, sort of like that. But yeah, which didn't really make any sense why they did that, but yeah, whatever. It's the 1940s; they were just experimenting. So, um, yeah, Dead Man Walk is an interesting little thriller about uh, yeah, an evil brother that kills his twin brother, who is a diabolical sorceress, who brings himself back to life to kill people and for revenge. So yeah, it was interesting, but there's definitely way better films with similar concepts out there. But for a 1940s film, it was interesting. Some people might find this boring. Some people might find this really interesting and intriguing with the mystery aspect to it. But overall, I thought this film was a little bit boring and predictable nowadays, anyways. But it was cool to look back at how something like this could have stood out. But I think it got lost in the shuffle in the films. So yeah, Dead Man Walk. I'm gonna give this one 2 out of 5. Um, if I can find a trailer for it, I'll link it down below so you can see what I'm talking about if you're not sure, or a video clip or something. I'll link that down below. Also, make sure you check out my Instagram, which is linked down below, where I always post clips of films I'm going to review in the future on my story. Make sure I have the film title and a hashtag and put the subgenre of film in there so you are aware of it. So make sure you follow me on Instagram, stay in the loop. Make sure you like this video, share it so more people are aware of it. Make sure you subscribe because you never know what I'm going to talk about next. And if you have any horror films or any films at all that you want to hear my opinions on in the future, make sure you comment those down below. I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can, and if I can find them. And also make sure if comment your opinions of this film if you've seen it down below too. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. So that's it for this one. It was just a generic type film. It's basically a carbon copy of Twins of Evil, sort of, but without actual twins in it. So yeah. But yeah, Dead Man Walk, it was okay. Hopefully the next one's more interesting, and I think it has a little bit of Spanish flair to it. So, the one that I'm thinking about watching next. So hopefully I get to it. So yeah. Well, till the next one. Cheers.